talking about loneliness. It is as deadly as smoking 15 cigarettes a day, as lethal as consuming 6 alcoholic drinks a day. I know the festival season is here, so you may not want to talk about loneliness, but let's just say, if you're visiting your loved ones during the holidays, you may want to make a regular habit of that, to stave off an early trip to the grave. Sounds morbid, but hey, don't shoot the messenger. I'm not saying this. A new study is. Here's what it says. When people don't socialize with friends or family, the risk of early death increases by 39%. So does the risk of death from heart disease by 53%. For those who also live alone, it gets worse. They have a 77% higher risk of early death and an even higher risk of dying from heart disease or stroke. Before I tell you why, let's cover the basics. What is loneliness? It is the gap between the level of connectedness you want and what you have. And it's not the same as being alone. It is not the same as social isolation either. Loneliness is a subjective feeling. People can have a lot of contacts, a big family, many friends, and still feel lonely. Now, loneliness is not all bad. In small doses, it is like hunger or thirst. It's a healthy sign. It shows that you're missing something. But when that is prolonged over time, it can be deadly. Here's why. The human brain has evolved to seek safety in numbers, so it views loneliness as a threat. When lonely, the brain's danger monitor goes into overdrive. It triggers a fight or flight response. Your heart rate rises, your blood sugar and pressure levels increase, in case you need more energy for a fight. More inflammatory cells are produced to repair damage. You begin to view other people as potential threats, not friends. And this creates a vicious cycle. You fear loneliness, which makes you lonelier, leading to strokes and heart disease, even dementia, inflammation, poor immunity, depression, personality disorders, and suicide. And this is not as rare as you may think. 33% of adults are lonely the world over. The highest number is in Brazil, followed by Turkey, India, Saudi Arabia, Italy, and South Africa. In fact, studies say loneliness kills far more people in the West each year than terrorists and murderers. That's an absurd statistic. But loneliness is allowed to loom large simply because of its absurdity. It is a rare and strange malady. We know what it is, we know how to cure it. It also costs relatively little, yet it's difficult to beat. Because we live in a paradoxical world. Today the world is more connected than ever through phones, social media, Zoom calls, you name it. But this is making us more isolated. Loneliness has nearly doubled between 2012 and 2018, which coincides with the explosion of social media use. And now an entire generation is at risk. Entire new generations are at risk, in fact. Polls find that young adults are twice as likely as seniors to report loneliness. Because time with screens cannot substitute for time with humans. The steps to tackle loneliness are not grand or high-tech. One of the best strategies is to simply be old school. Eat meals together, hold parties, hang out to eat ice cream or play a sport. Get to know your neighbor. It could be anything you like. Just do it at least once a month with someone else in flesh and blood or over a call. Word of caution, playing a virtual ping pong of Instagram reels does not count. At this point, loneliness is an epidemic. So it's not just an individual problem, it's a health crisis that demands government attention. So they must get involved too. In fact, Britain did. It got a Minister of Loneliness in 2018. It sounds bizarre. A Minister of Loneliness is less obvious than a Minister of Defense or Finance. But many countries think that this post is now necessary. Like Japan and Sweden, they too have ministers for loneliness or social affairs. There have been calls in Australia and other countries for this same post too. Some nations have also employed other creative measures. The UK, Sweden, Ireland and Australia have adopted what they call a chatty bench. That's what it's called, a chatty bench, a park bench, where strangers can talk to each other. So the solutions may be different, but my point is quite simple. As a species, humans are not meant to be lonely. We have to form close connections, like our life depends on it, because it does. Philosophers say you die alone. What they don't tell you is that it may happen a lot sooner if you're lonely.